Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm gonna talk to you in a minute when my colleague share the slides. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the admission requirements. The admission requirements, if you're applying for the AP degree, the compulsory requirements are a qualifying exam. That will be your high school exam. I'm gonna come back to these points later in a minute. But first of all, just as a guide, you need a qualifying exam when you're applying for the service, hospitality, and tourism management. And you need to document mathematics C Danish level. That translates to around 125 hours of mathematics or economics B level, which is around 75 hours of business economics. Moreover, you also need to have a complete and pass English test. If you apply for the marketing management, you also need a qualifying exam, but for that, you also need mathematics B level. That translates to 250 hours of mathematics or economics B, which is 210 hours of business economics, plus the English test. The English, we are going to talk about that in a minute, Katrina. Well, actually, before we go to the next one, Katrina, if you come back to this, besides the compulsory requirements, we also ask you, since you're applying with a non-European passport, that you send a copy of your passport plus an official translation of your qualifying exam made by an official translator. Plus, if you live in Denmark and you have a card of residency, to send a copy of this. Now to the next slide, Katrina. Okay, here's the list of the tests that we accept that you send as documentation to cover the requirement for English. If you go to our website, you are gonna find more information regarding this. It's very important for us to emphasize that our education, due to the nature of the education, you need to have solid qualifications for English. You have to have solid skills in order to succeed during the education. There is a lot of participation, there is a lot of involvement, and the more secure you are, the better chances are you to succeed. To the next one. Okay, so as I said before, you need a copy of your qualifying exam. That will be your high school exam. We need a copy of the transcript, that means the grades and the subjects. That normally in most countries, that will be 10, 11, and 12th grade. Some countries, they actually have 4 years, but we need the whole document translated officially. We also need a documentation for mathematics. This can be done, we are going to expand this a little bit further during the presentation, but this can be done with a document that we are going to introduce you later. And then the English results. All these, as I mentioned to you, all the documents have to be translated to English by a certified translator. And if you wish that somebody else, a family member, somebody that you trust, can handle your case when you apply to us, then you need a power of attorney signed by you and giving the rights to this person. Yes, the next slide, Katrina. Now I'm gonna pass the baton to my colleague Søren, and he's gonna tell you a little bit more about this.
Thank you very much, Miriam. My name is Søren Meyer, and hello to all of you. I'm going to tell you some more about the application. What Miriam has just told you are the requirements to the application. Your application will not be considered if you do not fulfill the requirements that Miriam mentioned. However, to fulfill the requirements is no guarantee to get accepted, because we have more applicants than we have study places. And of course, we will select the best qualified applicants for our programs, and we will do that according to some criteria. We will attach great importance to the average grade of your qualifying exam. That's very important, and therefore do your best to achieve high grades. But now I'm going to tell you about 3 additional kinds of documents that you can upload in order to improve your chances of getting accepted. First of all, the motivational letter. In this letter, you can explain why you have chosen the program concerned, why you have chosen Denmark as your destination. Please tell us if you have some connection to Denmark. You could also tell us about your plans for the future. What kind of jobs are you aiming at? What is your dream job? You can mention whatever you want to, and you can and what you think could be relevant for us to know. It could also be leisure activities, sports, etc. But please be honest and be authentical. We appreciate that. And do not let the motivational letter exceed 1 page. Secondly, you can upload documentation of relevant work experience. It's not sufficient to enclose a CV. You should preferably submit recommendation letters from your employers. And finally, you can upload supplementary documentation of supplementary education and other activities. For example, IT courses, language courses. Do not hesitate to mention and document these kind of activities. The 3 kinds of documents that I have mentioned now are not something we need to have. Therefore, if you do not add these kind of documents, it's okay. We will not send you any reminder. But we strongly recommend to you to add these kind of documents, because especially the motivational letter, because in that way we can get some idea of who you are, what's your background, what's your experience. And what is very important to pay notice to is that we can offer you credits for this kind of information in our evaluation of your application. But now I think that Miriam will tell you some more about how to apply. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Before you apply, I will recommend that you gather all your documentation and put all the documents into a PDF file. This is going to make the process a lot easier. Moreover, make sure that you have documentation for all the requirements that we told you, especially the compulsory requirements. If you are missing documents, this is going to delay the process, and it's also going to lead at some point to a rejection. So please be aware and be sure that you have your documents ready when you actually come here to the application to the application process. So what we do is, please go to our website, and through a few clips, you are gonna get through an application guide. They're gonna tell you exactly what to do, how to do it, and so on and so forth. When you went through the application guide in our website, then you are gonna be direct to the national application system. It's called Applicants.dk. Here you are gonna find this fine window. And remember, keep in mind that the deadline for applying is the 15th of March, as is stated here on the top. When you see this window, you can see that the only one that is in English is the blue one. Click on that. Through this website, you are going to make your application. You are going to upload your PDF files. And also, soon after you complete the application, they are going to give you a signature page. This signature page is really, really important, that as soon as you get the paper, that you sign on the paper and then upload this paper through the secure link in our website. Once again, I have to emphasize that please read carefully the instructions in our website so you avoid mistakes and delays. I also have to mention that when you make your application, you have the option to make 8 priorities. You also have to be aware that, for example, we offer 2 AP degrees, the Marketing Management AP degree and the Service, Hospitality and Tourism Management. The Marketing Management is actually offered in 2 different campuses at Cphbusiness. You can use 1 priority for each campus if that is your wish. And now I will give the floor to my colleague, Søren.
Yes, hello again, and thank you, Miriam. It's very important to remember the deadlines for the application. We must have your application on March 15 at 12 p.m. at the latest. But I recommend to you that you send your application days before the deadline, because technical problems may occur, and you will then have plenty of time to solve the problem, and you may even have time to get in contact with us if necessary. But all documentation, documentation for all exams must be forwarded to Cphbusiness at March the 15, and the same is due for supplementary courses such as, for example, the English test. So please do not miss that date and the time. If you must pay application fee, you will, as a non-EU applicant, receive a reply to your application on June the 3rd. If you do not have to pay tuition fee, you will receive the reply to your application on July 28. If you are admitted for one of our programs, you will receive a reply at Cphbusiness applicant.net. And you will be informed about this in the confirmation message that you get when you upload your application. So I will not go into further details about that. But if you are admitted, you must confirm or reject your offer of a study place also at Cphbusiness applicant.net. And the deadline for this will also be stated in the admission letter. It's very important to remember to make this confirmation, because if you do not confirm your admission to the program concerned, your study place will be given to another applicant. Yes, and now I think I will just sum up and tell a little about some typical mistakes that applicants make when they apply for our programs. As Miriam told you, it's very important that you attach an English test, and it must be an English test certified by a certified translator. If you do not attach this kind of documentation, we will not evaluate your application. So that's important to remember, and sometimes applicants forget to do this. Also remember that we don't send any reminder for missing documentation if it is about these 3 additional kinds of documentation that I mentioned previously: the motivational letter, work experience, and etc. So if you want this kind of documentation to be evaluated by us, you must remember to upload it. And another typical mistake is that applicants upload diplomas that are not translated by a certified translator. Sometimes an applicant also upload the same document several times. That's not a problem. I mean, it's just irritating. So please help us. Do not do that. Make that mistake. And as I said previously, when you want to document work experience, it's not sufficient just to enclose a CV. You must also upload some confirmation from your employers. Another thing I want to mention is that some applicants, they write only one motivational letter, although they apply maybe for 2 or 3 priorities. And you actually have to write a motivational letter for each of your priorities. So if you apply for marketing management as well as service management, you have to write 2 motivational letters. Yes. But I think that I will let Katrine take the floor now and go to the next point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we'll just stop the share. Okay, so now it is time for your questions. So start thinking about what would you like to ask us. And as I said in the beginning, you can either use the raised hand function you find under reactions, or you can type your questions in the chat. So while we are warming you up for questions, I have prepared a few questions for Miriam to begin with. Some typical questions that I know you received. So first of all, Miriam, could you say a little bit more about what do we actually mean when we say that you need to make sure that you have your application has been translated by a certified translator? What do we mean by that?
I mean, an official translator has to be somebody recognized by your government or by the official entities. So when they make an official translation, normally they put many stamps, many signatures, and sometimes even a seal. So make sure that the person that is translating or the company that is translating your documents is actually authorized by the government or by official entity.
Okay, thank you, Mia. Yeah. Another typical question I know that you receive is, you ask me to document my number of hours within business economics or mathematics. How exactly do I go about doing that? What do you
actually at Cphbusiness we have like a certain document which is already detailed and structured. So what you have to do is take this document to your academic institution. That could be your high school, for example, and ask them to fill that in. They're gonna fill in the number of hours that you had in mathematics teaching during your high school period, and then they have to sign it and stamp it. This is how you can actually document the amount of, cover the requirement of mathematics or economics.
Yeah, and I think actually, Søren, are you sharing? I haven't had a look at the
I am about to share now. Yes.
Yeah. So the template you could use, it's not like you have to use this template. It's just a suggestion to help you if you want to use the template that we have to document the hours of mathematics. So it's in the chat now for you to download.
It's in the chat now. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, then we move on to another question I know that many ask. How can I translate my previous higher education into the Danish educational system? How do I go about that, Miriam?
Actually, the Danish Ministry of Education has a service. You can send your documents. Actually, we're going to share a link here where you can send your documents to them and ask them to make an official statement of where your credentials are landed or translated into the Danish educational system. This is just a guidelines for you and for us. If you send this paper, please be aware that this is just a guideline. This won't be translated at direct admission. We're still gonna look into your credentials and make an evaluation of your academic and professional credentials when we decide where you rank and offer the admission to the educations.
Perfect, thank you, Miriam. And then I know that another thing you often face is also, can I send you my credentials in an email, and then you can tell me whether I can get admission with the papers I send you?
Okay, first of all, I will suggest, or I will ask, please don't do so. As by the law, by the GDPR law, we are not allowed to receive any documents, official documents via email. And the other thing is, first of all, I'm gonna share a link in the chat right now. You can look at the Minister of Education, the Danish Minister of Education, and look at how they translate your credentials into the Danish system. By here, you're gonna have more or less an idea of where your credentials are landed. Please also consult our website. They will tell you detailed information of what is required. After this, you will have some concrete questions. I invite you to contact us when you have these concrete questions, because then we are not going to lose translation, or we're not going to get lost into the process. You exactly know what you need to know, if it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. And I can see that we have our first question in the chat, and please type away, guys. This is all about your questions from now on. So if we don't write us anything, we're going to end it very soon. So the more you engage, the better. So we have a question from Umul, who's asking, what if someone does not have the English test and will have to give it after the deadline? Is it okay to submit the English test document after the deadline? And I think, Søren, do you want to take that one so we can also have you in a part of the dialogue?
Yes. It is a rule that we must have it before on March the 15th at the latest, as I said in my presentation. In case you have there are some special circumstances that makes it necessary for you to have a delay of 1 week or 2 weeks, you may get in contact with us, and we may have a talk about that to see if that's possible. There could be some circumstances that could be the reason for that. But especially if you are paying tuition fee and you will get a response on June the 3rd, it's quite obvious that we cannot give you that long respite to the documentation.
Yeah. Yes. So we simply also need time to assess your application.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And what I also need to stress one more time, even though you probably all know it already, what we have gone through so far is really targeted at non-EU citizens, those of you already living in Denmark. So if you somehow ended up here and you are your European citizen, there are different deadlines and rules that may apply to you. So if that's the case, you need to go back to our website and look up the deadlines because they differ. Yes. Then we have a question from Analu, who is asking, what if my transcript of records is in English with stamp originally from my high school? Do I still need a certified translation for that, Søren? Can you answer that one?
Yes, actually, I think that Miriam will be more qualified to answer that question.
I actually already answered directly, but yeah, I can mention it here. Of course not. If the official document, the original document, is already translated in English and it has the official stamps and signatures and everything that needs to be done, then no, you don't need a translation of this.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And then we have a question from Pina, who's asking, as a single mother, would you need to pay a tuition fee if you're not a European citizen? Would you say, Sam?
Please repeat the question.
Yes. So if someone is a single mother,
yes,
would he or she, or she in this case, still need to pay tuition fee if you are non-European? Does it in any way?
No, it doesn't have any influence on that rule. You have to pay the tuition fee, although you are a single mother. Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes.
And the tuition fee for most of our study programs would be, for the AP degrees, at least it would be the 32,500 Danish kroner for the first 2 semesters, and then it's 25,000 for the 3rd semester and 32,500 for the 4th as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you know, in Danish, kroner. And then we have, I just skipped the chat. Is it possible to apply for an AP degree program if I already hold a master's degree from another EU country? That's a great question. I'm going to direct it to which one of you wants to answer.
Yes, I think that I can give the answer for that, because we have a rule in Denmark that if you already have a master degree, you can be qualified for the program, but we will look at the other applicants first before we consider your application. So the chances are not that good for applying for one of our programs if you already have a master's degree.
So you're saying to me that if that was the case for Adam, he's put at the back of the line of
he's put back at the line, but I would also say that do send the application, because different situations may occur and you may still be relevant for acceptance for the program, but you should just know that we have this rule, and therefore the chances are not that good. Yeah,
and I might add to that one, Adam, that it's not a rule that we made at Cphbusiness. It's a political rule made by.
It's a governmental rule. Yes.
Yeah. And then we have Non-Lac, who is asking, I'm waiting for my residence card, pink card, for living in Denmark, but maybe get it after the deadline. What should I do about the tuition fee? Miriam, do you know?
I think in principle, if you don't have the card by the time we offer you a place, you have to start paying the tuition fee. But I'm not sure about that. Actually, you have to contact the authorities in that case, honestly, because, I mean, if you start an application for a visa, but you already have a case open, I think that's gonna clash. So in this case, I will suggest that you contact SIRI, which is the institution that is processing your PIN card.
Yeah, so could you write SIRI, right? SIRI.
Yes, SIRI.
Yes. But also get in contact with us about the situation when you apply, because then we can also monitor. I mean, we also want to be informed about your situation when it comes to whether or not you should pay the tuition fee. So yes.
And if you are in a situation, any of you, where you do need to pay the tuition fee or the application fee to begin with, please note that I know that there has been some technical challenges with our web shop. And if you experience any sort of issues, please contact the admissions team at the email we posted at the very beginning of the chat correspondence. They say they have fixed it, just in case. Now I'm telling you. So we have a good question from Umul about, can you please elaborate the difference between quota 1 and quota 2? How to choose which one is suitable for us to apply under? Highly relevant. Miriam, do you want to?
I will say the safest way is just apply quota 2, because you are applying with a foreign exam and you have to document also additional documents. For the quota, normally it goes to the credentials, the national credentials, that are the highest high school, a Danish high school, and goes directly by the system. But for foreigners, especially not non-EU citizens, I will say is via quota 2. Sorry.
You kind of have to apply through quota 2, the deadline.
Yes.
And quota 1 is basically only an assessment of your grades. They won't, if you take quota 1, it means just look at my grades. If you take the quota 2 pathway, it means we take a holistic view on your application, and extracurricular activities, like Søren has mentioned before, might add extra points to your application. So really just apply for quota 2. And then if you have really good grades, then you're automatically translated or put in the pile of quota 1 applicants. Isn't that right, Søren?
Some applicants think that it's a question of whether to apply for quota 2 or quota 1. But actually, when you apply for quota 2 and you apply before March 15, you will also be evaluated automatically for quota 1 if you are qualified for that. If you have exam papers that can be translated into the Danish standard.
Okay, then we have a question from Sharon, who is asking, I would like to know about the English exam. Could I upload the payment receipt, like show the date I will take it, probably around the end of March? I will apply under the EU rules as a family member to an EU citizen, since I come from a third country. Miriam.
I will recommend that if you don't have the test, just be aware that the test, the requirement for English, is a compulsory requirement. That means that if you don't have this, you're not meeting the requirements, and in principle, you get a rejection for your application. Yes, you can send a booking for the test, but you're not going to receive an offer for a place before you meet the requirement. That means before you get the results of the test.
And I think that we should say the same as we said to Umul, that get in contact with us if there is some if there are some problems regarding this, and if it is only a question of 1 week, 2 weeks, then we can get in contact with you and we may see how flexible we can be. But as Miriam said, the rule is that we must have this kind of documentation on March 15, but don't give up. Try and get in contact with us and we will see what we can do.
Yeah. We have a question regarding, are we sure that there are no exceptions to the rule about tuition fee for people in unique circumstances? Do you know anywhere where that might be possible to check up on or investigate into this further?
I think that I think 2 years ago or so, and Miriam, you must. I think you can confirm that we had the possibility to give applicants a study grant,
right,
in certain circumstances, but we don't have that option anymore. So I would say, although I'm sad to say so, we can't do anything about it.
No, the grant came actually from the government, and all funding was stopped 2 years ago. So that means that we don't have the resources to offer you a scholarship. You will have to contact somebody else, or if you are already a citizen in Denmark, maybe you can contact your commune to listen about opportunities, but not through us, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Miriam. Then we have a question from Nonglak, who says, I have already registered and have CPR number, just don't get a card provided yet. In those circumstances, do you have to pay or not? Do you know, Mia?
Yes, it depends of your status. Having the CPR number not necessarily has a result into permanent residency. Only if you have permanent residency in Denmark, then you don't pay tuition fee. If you have other type of residency or permanent residency in another European country or so, doesn't come to Denmark. So only if you have permanent residence in Denmark, you don't pay a tuition fee. So it doesn't go with the CPR number.
Okay. Yeah. So we are actually done with the questions now. To say thank you so much for attending today, and best of luck with your application. We're going to turn off our cameras now, but I will leave the poll open for a minute or two. Take care, and thank you for listening.